Good evening, good evening, good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are you doing this beautiful, beautiful evening? This is the first day of the dawning of a new week that the Lord has made. Come on in, brothers. Come on in, sister. Your brother Tony is at the dinner table. Come on, all. I want you family members to invite some more family members and friends because we have plenty of room at the dinner table. The food is set, and we got a good surprise at the menu for tonight. So go ahead and invite some more families and friends, and also go ahead and invite anybody because we got plenty of room at the dinner table. How you doing, Sister Gilbert? Welcome to the dinner table. Come on, brothers. Come on, sister. Your brother Tony got a good meal for you all tonight, and you would like to be a part of this. And I would like for you to share this, my brothers, and I would like for you to share this, my sister. If this is your first time or at the dinner table with us, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony M. Toomer, and I talk about relationships. I talk about relationships pertaining to that of a man and a woman, and a man and woman needs to have God as the centerpiece of their relationship. They need to have God as the foundation. So when it comes to relationship, my brother and sister, you need to build your relationship on the rock, not on shifted sand. So if this is your first time, you're in for a treat this evening. So come on in. And I'm on two different platforms. I'm on the book and I'm on the tube. For those of you that are on the book, I may make some comments to those on the tube. You may not see it. And those of you that are on the tube, I may make some comments to those on the book. You may not see it because I'm on two different platforms, but we're family here, my brothers and my sisters. Now, let me tell you, when it comes to a relationship, my brothers, when it comes to a relationship, my sister, you're going to have ups and downs in a relationship. If any man or any woman is afraid to get into a relationship, that man and woman is afraid based on something that he or she have gone through in the past. And so some men and some women, not some man, but some men and some women, if they had a bad experience in a relationship, they let that dictate their future. But my brother and sister, you need to understand this. When it comes to a relationship, brother, you're dealing with an imperfect woman. Sister, when you are dealing with man, you got to understand that that man is imperfect. So therefore, my brother and sister, you got to understand when it comes to a relationship, you are dealing with an imperfect person. And by the way, my brother and sister, you are imperfect. Don't let whatever happened in the past, my brother and sister, slow you up from getting into a good relationship. Because some of you, you're afraid of relationship. There's no need to be afraid of relationships, my brother and sister. There's no need to think that you have to be on the island by yourself. You do not have to be on the island by yourself. But we're going to talk tonight. And the topic that we're going to talk about tonight, my brothers and sisters, is 7 signs that your relationship is almost over. Again, on tonight's menu, we are going to get into 7 signs that your relationship is almost over. Now, listen to the word I said, almost over. I didn't say it completely over. I say almost over because there are 7 signs, and we're going to get into it. Now, my brother, now my sister, listen to this. At the beginning of most relationships, you're dealing with two imperfect beings. You're dealing with a man and you're dealing with a woman. At the beginning of the relationship, my brother and sister, this is where a whole lot of people get in trouble. As I have always told my brothers, and as I have always told my sister, when it comes to a relationship, my brother and my sister, brother, if you see a woman before you actually engage in a conversation with that woman, you need to say a silent prayer to God so you could utilize your discernment. And sister, if a man is approaching you, you need to do the same thing. You need to say a silent prayer to God and ask God, why is this man approaching me? What is it that this man is seeking from me? So what normally happens at the beginning of a relationship, this go for men and women. Majority of men and women do not pray to God for discernment. Most men and most women comes to the beginning of relationship. They basically go by what they see, the tangibles, or what they think that they see. So, brother and sister, when you get at the beginning of a relationship, most men and most women, you don't really know what to look for in a relationship. I don't care how old you are, you really don't know. You go by some things that on your subconscious mind, what sister, you think that a certain man should be a certain way, and brother, you think that a woman should be a certain way, and that's built on your subconscious. And you got to understand that, my brother, sister, and what's on your subconscious is going to dictate what you consciously thinking. So normally at the beginning of a relationship, my brother and sister, the person that you normally meet, that's not the real person. I don't care who it is. Normally, that's not the real person. When I say not the real person, most people, when it comes to a relationship, wear what is called a mask. If it's not a mask, it's several masks. So always remember that, my brother and sister, that person that you see, that's not all the person. And if that person is interested in you, more than likely that person going to project what he or she think that you want to see. How you doing, Sister Athelia? Welcome to the dinner table. So understand this. Those of you that are coming in at the dinner table, we are about to talk about what's on the menu. It's 7 signs that your relationship is almost over. I didn't say completely over. I said it's almost over. Now, there are always red flags. Listen to me very carefully, my brother and sister. There are always red flags. But there are some men and there are some women. So there may be some men and some women that's at the dinner table tonight. Or if you're not at the dinner table, you're going to try to rewarm this video up and you're going to look at it. But there are some men and women that are, how you doing, Sister Deborah D. Scott? Welcome to the dinner table. There are some men and women that don't want to face the truth because they can't handle the truth. And what's truth is that at the beginning of relationship, brother, sister, there are always red flags. There are always red flags. And some of these men and women, they refuse to see that that the relationship that they get themselves into is coming to an end. But the real question is this: does it really have to come to an end? Now, at the dinner table tonight, we are going to discuss the 7 signs that your relationship is almost over. But let's go to God's word first. And we're going to go to the book of James. Now, James, the book of James is in the New Testament. And the book of James is written by Jesus' brother. As some of you may not be aware of, Jesus had 4 brothers. And James were one of his brothers, okay? Step brothers. You want to say step brother because God, natural father, well, spiritual father and natural father was God himself. So Joseph was Jesus' stepfather. And all the children between Mary and Joseph, they had 4 boys and they had some girl. But when you look in the Bible, it says sister with an S on, so plural. So Jesus had more than one sister. Their names are not in the Bible, but his 4 brother names are in the Bible. And this particular brother, James, he wrote this part. And James wrote is in chapter 4:3. Chapter 4:3. Chapter 4:3. It said, when you ask, you do not receive, because you ask with the wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your own pleasure. Now, James is making a broad statement. There's a lot of people, and we're narrowing it down to get into a relationship. So there's a lot of time when people ask God for something, but it's for the wrong reason. It's a selfish reason. Again, in chapter when James chapter 4:3, it said, when you ask, you do not receive, because you ask with the wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your own pleasure. So, my brother, if you go to God and pray for a woman, God could see your motive. He could see your motive, whether you design a woman to go along with God's purpose in your life or your own purpose. Sister, you may pray to God for a man to find you, but that man may not never find you because you act for the wrong motive. You may be praying for a man to take care of you. You may be praying for a man to, in general, in a nutshell, to take care of you. Whereas that's not the right motive. You understand? So you got to understand it, my brother and sister. Just because you ask God something, that doesn't mean that he's going to give it to you. There are a lot of people that think that God is a big Santa Claus and he's going to check off this list whether you're naughty or nice, and that's not how God operates. God is only going to respond to your request if you ask him in the right way, whereas he's going to get the glory in the end. So that's why a lot of you brothers and sisters, you get into a relationship, you may say you're serious about the relationship, you may say that you're committed to the relationship, and some of you may get married and you probably may end up in divorce, but you either neglected to ask God or you ask God say no, but you went against the red flags. There are always red flags, my brother. There's always red flag, my sister, when it comes to not getting a relationship. Now, at the beginning of the relationship, this not only go for women, but it go for men too. At the beginning of most relationships, you have this adrenaline rush. You may have this high level attraction for a man, sister, or a woman, brother, but you going by what you see and whatever going on in that subconscious mind from your past or what you seen in magazines, what you seen on TV, the music that you listen to, and so on and so on. You got your own idea, brother, of what a woman's supposed to be like. And sister, you may have your own idea what a man's supposed to be like. Let's talk about fairy tales. Let's go to fairy tales first before we get into the main thing that we're going to talk about, fairy tales. Some men used to believe in fairy tales. Some women used to believe in fairy tales. I can remember when I was a youth going back to fairy tales, and a lot of you could make and see what I'm talking about. You remember the fairy tale, the tooth fairy. A lot of you believed in the tooth fairy, right? A lot of you. And then there's some of you that didn't. I was one of those children that did not believe in no tooth fairy. I was one of the most difficult children possibly that my parents had. My parents had 4 children. It's 2 boys and 2 girls. I'm the oldest and my brother the youngest. So we the bread, and my 2 sisters, they're the meat in the relationship. So fairy tales. You know how when you're young and you were told that the tooth fairy going to come and give you some money. All you have to do is let me pull that tooth, and we're gonna put that tooth up on the pillow, and then when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna have some money. That's a fairy tale. Another fairy tale is Santa Claus. Again, that's a fairy tale. I was still one of those difficult people, my brother and sister, to believe in fairy tales, because where I grew up at a long time ago, we were living in this house and we did not have no chimney. No chimney. I hope I pronounce it right, but you all know what I'm talking about, where you burn wood and stuff like that. And as you know, my brother and sister, the thing is, it's supposed to be this man that go over the world on Christmas Eve, all over the world in this little buggy, and he have this white suit on, and he had all these flying reindeer, and he's supposed to give toys to boys and girls, whether they naughty or nice, right? But still, I could not believe in that either. You know why I couldn't believe in it? Because the fact is, even though I was a youth, we didn't have no chimney. So I would ask my mom, basically, I said, Mama, how can this man fly over the world in one day and bring children toys? And then I said, because we don't have no chimney. So my mama, she would say something like, well, he coming through the front door. And at that particular time where we were staying at, all the children, we were sleeping in one room, right, at that particular time. So in order to get the toys in, my brother and I, we were sleeping in a bed together, but at that particular time, so this quote unquote Santa Claus supposed to come in through the front door. But you see, the thing about it, he was not going to come into the front door, because when my father used to get off from work, he would come to the front door and I would wake me up. So in no way this little fat man that got the long beard was going to come in through. So I was just one of those difficult children. I didn't believe in fairy tale. So why am I making these statements about fairy tale? The reason is, my brother and sister, there are a lot of you brothers and a lot of you sisters, you believe in fairy tales. Some of you brothers, you really believe that you're going to get that prince from Disney, right? And some of you sisters really believe that there's going to be this prince that he's like a frog. You're gonna kiss him, and he's gonna turn to a prince, right? So we're gonna have to get off this fairy tale stuff, my brother and sister, when it comes to a relationship. That's why the whole bunch of you brothers and sisters at the beginning of the relationship, someone or both parties, that either gonna be the man or the woman, is living in a fantasy land, and they have a viewpoint of relationship. Then they'll one or both, the man or a woman, that start keeping scores in a relationship. This is the first sign that the relationship is almost over. What do I mean? Either the man or the woman, you have this thing in your mind from your subconscious that your relationship is going to be like what you see on TV. That's what you really believe. Or some of the music, that's what you really believe. Or their music, that's what you really believe. You really think that your relationship is going to be problem free. You really think that that man or woman that you get into a relationship with, thank you, Sister Teresa Thomas, you really think that that man or woman, you refuse to acknowledge that that man or woman is not perfect. So at the beginning of the relationship, you're in fantasy land. This I'm not only go for women, but it's go for men too. So you at the fantasy thing. And let me tell you the big thing about the fantasy part. There are a lot of people that live for the wedding day. They live for the wedding day, but they don't realize that they have to survive a marriage after the wedding date. Now let's talk facts, my brother. Let's talk facts, my sister. Sister Sherry Smith, welcome to the dinner table. Now let's talk facts. When we talking about one of the signs that the relationship is almost over, one of you or both of you still in that fantasy. Some of you at the beginning of the relationship. So I got to wake you up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Don't go into no deep sleep. Wake up if you have sleep, because whoever you about to possibly get engaged and get married, that person that you're looking at, you either gonna cry a tear from that person, or you're gonna hurt from that person. And same thing, that person may cry a tear from you or hurt that person. If you're in a relationship, you are in real time. You got to understand it, my brother. You are in real time. And the quicker you understand, my brother, sister, first of all, look at yourself. You are not perfect. So, brother, how can you demand a woman to be perfect? How can you look at a woman as a princess from Disney? Or sister, how can you look at a man that like he's a prince from Disney? Why, sister, would you look at a man like he's gonna come and take you away, and you're gonna be in front of this silhouette at the end of your life, and the moon gonna be up there, and you're gonna kiss, and everything gonna be okay? No problem, no nothing. But that's not a reality, because once you, brother, and once you, sister, get past if you don't get past the fantasy part of relationship or the fairy tale, that's when you're gonna start keeping score in a relationship. That's when you're going to start. Remember, it was some red flags at the beginning, but that's when you're going to really start concentrating on those red flags. Now, there are a lot of people that live for the wedding day, like I say, but they don't prepare for the marriage. Now, let's talk real facts, my brothers and sisters. Let's talk real facts. Now, most men, let me tell you, my brother and sister, why most men do not want to get married in the United States of America. That's right, sister or Teresa, fantasy versus romance. Let me tell you why most men in the United States do not want to get married. And what I'm about to say, my brother and sister, you know for yourself that they say a lot of men are afraid to commit to the relationship. Now, then there would be some men that say women are afraid to commit, but the Lord censor is the saying out there. We talk about the United States basically, that the saying is men are afraid to commit and get legally married. Now, let me tell you why it's this part. There is a statistic that's out there, my brother and sister. And now most men don't want to get legally married. Now, some men, they will say that they're serious about a woman, or they say they committed to the woman. Some men, They will move in with a woman, or a woman will move into them. But there's something about signing that name on the dotted line legally, whereas some men do not want to go that route. Now, why is it? A lot of men that don't want to legally sign on paper, these type of men, first of all, I'm going to say you can't blame them. You can't blame them. If you look at it from a secular or worldly standpoint, you can't blame them. But we know that God way trumps it all. How you doing, Sister Monica Harden? Welcome to the dinner table. Now, let me tell you, most men from the United States of America, in the United States of America, the reason why they don't want to legally get married, there's a factor. And sadly, according to this source that I researched, my brother and sister, I researched this source called missmagazine.com. Again, this missmagazine.com. And what missmagazine.com came up with was a statistic. And this is the statistic. 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. These are statistics. 70% to 80% of all divorces in the United States of America are initiated by women. And 90% of divorces are filed by college-educated women. So this is one of the main reasons why some men, they do not want to get married, because once they sign their joint handcuff on that paper, now let's say if the man have assets, the men know that basically the court system is set up in what is called divorce rate. What is divorce rate? A lot of men think that, well, based on these statistics, they think that if I get married to a woman and it doesn't go right, she's going to get half of my stuff. And that's the truth, sister, where some men, they don't want to do it. Now, these men, they're not living in fantasy. They're not living in a fantasy world. They're living in a factual world. So, sister, even if a man that you're in a relationship with and he dragging his feet on getting married, you need to, if necessary, because like I always say, my brother, like I always say, my sister, marriage is a business. How you doing, Casper, on that? Casper on that say exactly. I'm okay with everything else, like the ring, the wedding, the commitment, but signing that piece of paper, that just don't sit right with me. You see, like this brother, he just saying, he said he's in agreement with the ring, he's in agreement with the wedding and the commitment, but sign that piece of paper, it just don't sit with me. Now, he know what I'm talking about, and a lot of you know what I'm talking about too, but I'm bringing in statistics. And that's a large statistic, my brother and sister. That's why some men, they're not afraid to get married. That's not what it is. It's just that they think that their assets going to be stripped away from them, what they have built up possibly before they met the woman, or that's the idea. When you look at the newspaper and stuff, a lot of time when it comes to divorce, a lot of time, if the man have stuff and the woman have stuff, how you doing, Sister Flo? Most of the time, when you go to court and you get to the divorce part, you brother and you sister going to find out that a marriage is a business. Because anytime you go down to the courthouse and you have to sign paper, legal paper, you enter into what is called a contract or a covenant. So Teresa said, but isn't she worth half of the kingdom? This is my response. So Teresa, is she worth a half the kingdom? Some men think that, I put it this way. When it comes to getting into a relationship, and if it's the assets that's a problem, this is my recommendation for men and women, because there are some women that make more than men or have more assets than men. To eliminate that particular part, this is what a man and a woman need to discuss stuff, because you got to understand it, my brother and sister, marriage is a business. So this is where the thing called a prenup come in. Now, so you see, you could, when you love someone, my brother and sister, that's a decision before an emotion. It's a decision for an emotion. Now, some people want to say marriage is about emotion. Now, emotion does play a part in it. But you see, when you get married, that's a decision, basically. You don't go by, I put it this way, when you're in a relationship with someone, my brother and sister, you know that this, let's say that you have a lot of good days in the relationship. You have a lot of good days in the relationship, and you all hugging and stuff on one another. Then there might be one day that one of you get angry or upset at the other. And then the first thing you may think about, why did I get in a relationship with that person? But you forget about all the sunny days in the relationship. But when the big storm come up, then a lot of people start thinking about I'm out. But what they don't realize is a storm is not long term. It can be long term if you keep wanting it to rain, but a storm is just like this, my brother and sister. Just think about it. Reality. It don't rain every day. It doesn't rain every day. The clouds don't be up every day. When the clouds come up, that's an indication that it's going to rain. But the sun itself, my brother, so you got to listen to this. The sun never goes out. Some people say you could walk outside and you see a whole bunch of cloud sky, and it could be daytime. You could tell it's daytime, but you don't see the sun. The sun is always there, my brother and sisters, always there. I can tell you why. I can tell you this. A lot of you, and I have said it before, when you get on an airplane, and if you notice, when the airplane go over the clouds, let's say then you start feeling no turbulence, right? Now, what the airplane would normally do, it would go over the clouds. And when you go over the cloud, even though the clouds is under the plane, and a lot of you have seen this before, and I have seen it. When you flying over the clouds, you don't see nothing but clouds up under the plane. You're looking out the window, you see nothing but clouds. But when you're over the cloud, it's real bright. And the sun is, you can look to the east or the west, wherever you at that particular time, and you can see that the sun is still out. The sun never goes nowhere. It just blocked from your point of view. When you're on the ground, the rays of the sun is block your view because of the cloud, but the sun is still up there. So why am I using that illustration? Because a lot of brothers and sisters, you forget that you had a whole bunch of good days, and those good days represent the sun. And then the clouds represents the stormy times of the relationship. So what do you do when it rains? You take out an umbrella and you still move in the rain. That's just like, brother and sister, if you have a bad day, and I have used this illustration before. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you, like me and that young lady up there, Cinderella. Now, I normally open the car door for my wife, okay? I normally open the car door for my wife. And that's on a good day. Let's say it's a good day and I open the car door for my wife, right? Now, say one day we get up and I'm angry out about something. If I'm angry about her and it's raining outside, and I got the same umbrella, and we get in the same car, and I open the door. But on this one day, I'm angry at my wife, and then I got the umbrella. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to walk her around to her on the passenger side. I don't care. She just get wet today, and I ain't open no door. Or I walk around there with the umbrella, and then I unlock the door with my little keypad, and then I walk, but I don't open the door. You see what I'm doing, my brothers and sisters? I would be getting into my feelings, which is wrong. So even if I'm upset at my wife, I still supposed to walk with the umbrella, open the door for her, and let her go in, even though I don't feel that way. You understand? I don't feel that way. Do you understand my point? You see, I can't go by my feelings. I got to go by what's right, because eventually I'm going to not be mad at her later on. And it could be the same way. Say, for example, like tomorrow morning, when I get up, my wife will have breakfast for me, right? And that's on a good day. She will normally have breakfast for me. Now, say for example, the day before, the night before we go to bed, she get angry at me. And then the next morning I get up, she don't cook breakfast. Now she'll be all in her feelings. But let's say I did upset or whatever, but that next morning she still cooked breakfast. She's not in her feelings. You understand? So she decide, even though she override her feeling, even though she may not feel like it, but she still do what's right, does what's right. And I still do what's right. So you all understand that. So you have to get beyond the fantasy part of the relationship. You can't go all about your feeling, because feelings, my brother and sister, not only for women, because we know women go by their emotion, but men got emotion too. So your emotion could go up and down, but you cannot live on your feeling, my brother and sister, because if you live by your feeling, every time things don't go right in a relationship, you're going to want to bounce. So that's where the fairy tale come in at. And then the reality part, when it comes to a divorce, majority of the time is women. 70 to 80%, according to missmagazine.com. And that's a high rate, my sisters. That's a very, very high rate. And that's one reason why a whole bunch of men do not want to get married legally, because they think about it's going to cost them financially. And it's not that the man is afraid. He just don't want to. He have a certain lifestyle that he's accustomed to. And then that was it. And I have told you all this before I married my wife Cinderella. How you doing, Sister Tracy? Welcome to the dinner table. Before I married my wife, there were two young ladies that I dated before I met my wife. Well, it was several, but I'm talking about these two. Some of you have heard this before, right? There were two particular women, and I'm going to call one Exhibit A, and I'm going to call one Exhibit B. Exhibit A, she had more assets than me. She had about 2 or 3 times more assets than me. And I knew if I got into that particular relationship, she wanted me to move into her house. But I was not going to move into her house. Because when everything was said and done, God opened my eyes and he kept me out of that situation. You understand? And then the second young lady, Exhibit B, she had 3 times more assets than I did, okay? And so her thing was, now this woman, my brother and sister, she was actually, and what she did, I didn't have no problem with it. She even said this, and she even said this to me, and she said this in front of my mother while we were talking. She told my mother she wanted to marry me, but she said if she married me, she want me to sign a prenup. And I didn't get all bent out of shape. The reason why she wanted me to sign a prenup, like I said, she had like I said, 3 times more assets than me. And where I was working at during that particular time, she wanted me to start working there. And she told me she would have a salary that doubled where I was working. And all she wanted me to do is help her with her businesses, because she had about 7 residual incomes, my brother and sister. This sister, she had it together. I have told you all this before. This sister house was so bad. If you look at it from that position, this sister house was so bad. When I said bad, it was together. I put it that way. And like I said, you go up to the top floor in her house, in her bedroom, and she had this little control in her hand. This sister had it together. She had this little control where her roof part, like if you go to a football game, those dorms, you know how the dorm could open. It's her roof could open just like that, and it was glass, and you could just like look at the stars and moon at night. It was a beautiful sight. But you see, the thing about this young woman, I knew that if she got angry, she would have the advantage over me. So I wasn't going to get over that. But I understood her point about the prenup. Now, this woman, she had feelings for me. I had feelings for her. But she was a factual woman, and I'm a factual woman. Now, if I decided to marry her, I understood that she had assets because this is what she told me. She said, the things that I have before you, that's mine. And the things that we have once we get married, that'll be ours. And if our relationship came to an end, we will have a settlement. Now she was business. And I understood the business because, like I tell you, my brother and sister, when you sign those papers, the marriage, it's a business. It's a business. You enter into a business, a contract with someone, and then if you get a divorce, when you go in front of that judge, the judge don't want to know about your feelings no more. The judge gonna want to know about assets and liabilities. You see, you got to understand. You got to understand it, my brother and sister. So at the beginning of the relationship, you got to understand that it's not no fantasy, it's real life, even though you have feelings in the relationship. And I just had to tell you that, my brother and sister, I just have to talk to you about the reality of relationship. Now, when it comes to spiritual things, that's why, my brother and sister, I'm going to revert back to, before you get into a relationship, my brother and sister, you brother, before you start talking to this woman, you don't know whether God bringing this woman to you or not. So therefore, you need to tell God, ask God a private prayer and say, are you the one who bringing this woman to me? Because it's not like God going to get on a body and just bring the woman to you. He may not, but more than likely, he's not going to do that. And how you doing, Facebook user? You said preach. Who are you? I don't see your name, but who are you? But welcome to the dinner table. I'm telling you, my brother and sister, brother, you have to pray to God, because Satan could bring women in front of you. And you know, Satan know what you like, brother. He know that you like a good looking woman that's, you know, like the Commodores had this song out years ago, a brick house, 36, 24, 36. Oh, what a winning hand. Okay, you said this is the queen. Okay, queen who are you, queen? I'm not saying, you know, queen, but this is the queen. Who are you, queen? So I can know your royal highness. Who are you? But anyway, how you doing, Sister Smith? Welcome to the dinner table. But like I'm saying, you got to understand this, what I'm saying, my brother, and you got to understand this, my sister, what I am saying to you. Oh, okay, how you doing? Okay, Sister Taylor, how you doing? How you doing, sister? I'm glad that you're in at the dinner table. Thank you, sister. Thank you. But let me tell you, sister and brother, back to what I was saying. Nothing wrong with the prenup. Nothing wrong with it. It's business. Sign the prenup. But when it comes to spiritual things, brother, pray to God before you start talking to this woman. You don't know what type of woman in front of you, because we men, we basically go by what we see. And then, sister, if a man come in front of you, you need to pray to God too, as I always say, and ask God, why is the man talking to me? Because Satan know what you like too. He know what type of man you like. He know that you like a man probably that's 6 feet tall, got wavy hair, probably got nice skin tone, got that dressed with a tailored suit, 6-pack, got that big old house on the hill, got that high-end car, got 6+ figures in the bank and all that kind of stuff. Satan know you, so Satan could package a man what he know you like, sister. And the same thing, brother, Satan could package a woman that he knows that you like. They're right, brother Casper D. Says soon as you bring up. That's right. So understand this. You have to pray, my brother, sister. That's why most relationships don't go. Most relationship can go on and on and on. And like brother Casper say, prenup, they get offended. Brothers and sisters, let me talk factual. What the brother brought up, prenup, they get offended. Don't get offended when someone bring up a prenup. Don't get offended. Do not get offended. Understand. Go ahead, sign the prenup. But you see, in the prenup, you could talk about what you want in the prenup agreement, so it won't be all one-sided. Because most people, when it comes to a prenup, they will make provision, or they would change some of the language in the prenup. And you read the prenup, the one that have to sign the prenup, because both got to sign it. So read it. So, brother or sister, whichever one of you have the quote unquote assets, go ahead and say, okay, if I sign a prenup, I want this in there. And more than likely, that person going to put some stuff in there to benefit you, because if the marriage comes to an end, it's a contract. But you see, going back to what I said from the beginning, and this not blaming you, sister, but this just a reality from missmagazine.com. 7 to 80% of divorce are initiated by women. And I'm not talking about you, sister, per se. I'm not talking about you. But the reality is, these are statistics. And then when a man marries someone that's college educated, the divorce 90% women initiate divorce. So they go by statistics. They're not saying it's going to happen to you, brother, or you, sister. They just go by. Some men know about these statistics. And if they don't know about the statistics, they study, they watch what they watch stuff, and they hear things about this man got taken to the cleaner. Most of the time when you hear about divorce, most of the time it shows where it appears like the man get taken to the cleaner. Now there are some cases where the woman get taken from the cleaner, because there are some women that have more assets than the man, and she normally she might get divorce rate. So the reality is, that's why you pray to God first before you get into a situation like that. So if you quote unquote love the man or love the woman, okay, you love that man or woman, but the love part is a decision. It's not the emotions. Because emotion go up and down. If you go only by your emotion, brother and sister, you gonna see some red flags. You're gonna ignore the red flags because you're living in fantasy land. So, brothers and sisters, I'm talking to you more so than the world. Your marriage is not no fantasy. The wedding might be looked at as a fantasy, but marriage is no fantasy. When you say I do, and after the honeymoon is over with, you going to start seeing some stuff, because before you met that person, you seen some stuff. And when you get married, you're going to see more and more, because what's happening in marriage, that person going to get more and more comfortable with you. And you're going to see some stuff that you may not like in that person. And that person going to see some stuff that you may not like. It could be something as trivial as chewing some bubble gum and blowing bubbles and somebody pop, and it may irritate. It could be little things that irritate you, brothers and sisters. So you got to get past that, because guess what? You got some things that are going to irritate that person. You all going to be you're both going to irritate one another. That's why you're going to need a break sometime in your marriage. Sometimes you need to get out the house sometime, brother, do some stuff what you need to do or want to do. And sister, sometimes you need to get out the house and do something that you need to do. Everybody needs some solitude, if that's what you want to call it, time to yourself. You need, brother and sister, you need time to be with the Lord. You need time for yourself, and then you need time to get back with your mate. You don't have to be around your mate 24/7, 7 days a week. You need a break, brother. You need a break, sister. Because the break that you really need to have is that with God. So number one, stop being in that fairy tale land, because once you see reality, my brother and sister, you're going to start keeping score. What that means, you're going to start bringing up stuff that really piss you off, because you're going to become a scorekeeper. You're going to keep the score, and most of the time, you're going to keep the score on the person, on your mate. You're not going to look at yourself. And this is the thing about most relationships. On most relationships, most of the time, the scorekeeper always bringing up what his or her mate doing. He or she never look in the mirror at his or herself. And you know what Jesus said about that? Jesus said, why are you going to, and I'm paraphrasing there, why are you talking about that little stick in your brother's eye, where you got that big boulder thing in your eyes? And that's a hypocrite, because you know this, my brother and sister. Most of the time when a man and woman tell you something about yourself, they point a finger at you, say, you did, you don't do this, you don't that. But they say that one finger, but look, they got these 3 fingers going back at them. So Tracy, do you counsel married couple? Yes, sister, I do counsel married couple. Yes, I do. I do. I do that on the side. But listen, my brother and sister, listen carefully. Stop being a scorekeeper. You see, when you get into a relationship, my brother and sister, you have to have what is called unconditional love. You have to have unconditional love. I see someone here that got Facebook user. If there's another person, I don't see your name. Yes, Sister Tracy, I'm in Georgia. I'm in Georgia, Sister Tracy. Um, you got to understand it, my brother and sister. You are marrying an imperfect person. You're not on TV. You're not in the movie. It's called in the movie when you see a man or woman on TV, they got what are called directors. And what you don't hear when the director said action. And you don't hear when they said cut, that's a wrap. You don't hear that part. In marriage, it's not like that. When you listen to all these romantic songs on the radio, they nice and good, but what they are, maybe 2 or 3 minutes in length, but your marriage is more than 2 or 3 minutes. When you, and some of you sisters that like to look at the Lifetime stuff, it's the same thing on Lifetime and all these not Lifetime, not only that, what are some of those other things that you all look at? I look at it sometimes too, because it's very, very entertaining. Okay, Sister Tracy, thanks. I will inbox you later. Okay, sister, you could do that. But let me tell you, uh, when you look at Hallmarks and all that kind of stuff, some of you sisters could, you all know what I'm about to talk about. When you look at Hallmarks and stuff like that, okay, Sister Tracy, ID. You said ID? Okay. What that means, Sister Tracy, ID. But anyway, when you look at Hallmarks and everything, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You meet the woman, you know I'm gonna meet the woman first. Then you're gonna meet the man that she's gonna get with, right? And it's the same thing. They could be in different locations, but it's always go like this. You meet the woman first, then you're gonna meet the man, and you look while you're looking at TV, you're gonna say, okay, that woman and that man gonna get together. So I got to sit here with my popcorn and stuff and see how they're gonna get together. And what do? Then they cause conflict. Not the man and woman, but conflict come up between the man and the woman. So they have to resolve conflicts along the way. Okay, ID is real life story. Okay, that's right, sister. So anyway, they introduce conflict. So the woman and the man, they got to get through all these conflicts. And you, as you know, the woman she may talk to her family and friends and talk about the problem that she had with the man, and the man might do it too. So in the end, always at the end, the man and woman gets together and they live happily ever after. That's what romance is built on, my brother and sister. You get the woman and you get the man. The man's supposed to do all kinds of stuff to get the woman. He's supposed to do all the cartwheels and all that kind of stuff. And then he get the woman at the end. And that's how romance goes. And it sells a lot. If I want to write a romantic story, all I have to do is know I need a woman character. I need a man character. I need to throw some conflicts in there, and I got to resolve each conflict. And I know at the end, I got to get that man and woman together, and I got to have the viewer or the reader feeling good at the end, like, ooh, that's a beautiful story. It ends well, but marriage, relationship still could come to an end because you're living in a fantasy world. Number two, once you live in a fantasy world, this is another thing what happened. This point number two, communication stop. When you living in a fantasy world and then you have to come to the real world, you're going to start having communication problems. What is communication? Communication is verbal and communication is non-verbal. You see, the verbal is when you say things. Non-verbal is your behavior and how you act. So if you normally talk to one another, your talk gonna stop. It's gonna decrease. If you like to hug and touch, it's gonna decrease because that's verbal and non-verbal communication. You're gonna get to a point where you're not going to want to talk to that person as much as you used to. because what's going to happen, you're going to probably have arguments, you're going to have disagreements and all kinds of stuff. So you're probably going to get to the point, I ain't going to say nothing to him. I'm not going to say nothing to her. I'm not going to hug her. I'm not going to touch it. So it's just like this. If you're in the bed and you're in that big king size bed and you're married. So you normally cuddle at night. Okay, you normally cuddle. But once you have communication problem, whereas you used to cuddle at night, you're going to notice that you're not going to be touching one another like you used to. You're going to do a cliffhanger. What is a cliffhanger? You're going to be you in a king size bed, and one of you probably going to be on the edge of the bed and about to flip over, you turn. That's cliffhanger. It's just like this, for example. If my wife and I have a problem, okay, I know some of you don't believe my wife and I ever had no disagreement, but we do. But one thing we don't do the cliffhanger part. Right now, as I speak to you, it's 9:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My wife, she's in the back, knocked out, with her mouth wide open. And she covered the whole bed, and much of the bed she can, but there's plenty of room. Let me tell you what she'll do. She's knocked out sleep right now. When she hear me coming back there, cause she got those bionic ears, she could hear me when I come. I could even try to open the door where she can't hear nothing. I can't hardly hear the door when I'm opening it. Time I turn that door knob, she automatically wake up. She got those bionic ears. So anyway, I go in there and get ready to go to bed. No matter what position she be in, she gonna move towards the middle. And when she moved towards the middle, and when I get in, she ready for me to hug her. That's what she ready. She ready for me to hug her. And then she go right back into the sleep with her mouth wide open. I know that's what she want, and I like doing it. But I know, and she know during the course of the night, we're not gonna be hugging all night, because if you laying on one arm, you're gonna want to make some adjustment during the night. But when I do make my adjustment, or she make an adjustment, we still gonna be touching one another. You understand? I'm gonna either have my hand on her, or she's gonna have her hand on me. I'm gonna have my leg over her. She's gonna have her leg on me. We're gonna be touching. Now, say for example, we have a communication problem. This is just an example. If we allow that communication to come to the bedroom, guess what? She's not going to position herself in the middle of the bed. And if she don't do it, I'm going to say, I'm glad she don't do it, because I don't want to touch her anyway. That's the natural man, and that's the natural woman. So that's non-verbal. So the verbal goes to the non-verbal. And you see, I'm going to tell you another thing. Say for example, just an example. Say for instance, we have a communication problem, verbal, and then we say, okay, I forgive you. If I say I forgive you and she says she forgive me, okay, that's on the surface. But at bedtime, if I go to bed and she don't move to the middle, but she said she forgive me, I know she didn't forgive me. And then if I tell her I forgive her, and she moved to the middle of the bed and I don't hug her, you see what I'm talking about? The words and the action don't match. You see, the words and the action, when you put it on the scale, my brother and sister, it got to be balanced. And the worst thing you could do, my brother and sister, if you have a problem, you're supposed to resolve that problem before you go to bed. The Lord don't want us he don't want the sun to go down on your wrath. Now, no man or no woman can say, I can't. Yes, you can help it. The Bible clearly say, don't go to bed. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. If the Bible said it can be done, but you got to have the Lord's Spirit in you, my brother and sister, in order to be able to do it, because the flesh going to tell you no. But the Spirit of God going to guide you and show you how to do it. So it's imperative. It's important, my brother and sister, that you resolve your conflict. The Bible even say this, my brothers and sisters. It say the Lord say, if before you and this was in the Old Testament, Jesus said that if you know you got a problem with your brother, before you come to him, leave your gift and go reconcile with your brother. That's what the Bible clearly say. Before you go to the Lord, even go reconcile with your brother. And you can reconcile with your wife or your husband before you even go to the Lord and you think you and the Lord finna have this good relationship. The Lord wants you to go and repair what you can with your brother, sister. If you can't do that, the Bible also say, those of you that know the scripture, it say, if you have a problem with your brother or your wife or your husband, I'm just saying the wife or the husband, if you have a problem and he or she don't accept that, you take another person with you. Church person, not family member, not friends. You take a person that believe in the Lord so they can help reconcile. If your mate at that particular time or your brother don't want to do it, that's when you go to the church. And if they still don't accept it, that's when you got to leave it in the hand of the Lord. That's why some relationship, you don't understand how to resolve conflict. You go try to talk to your mate first. Don't talk to your family member, your friend, your co-worker in social media. You go to your mate first, but you pray to God. When you pray to God, say, Lord, give me the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding, discernment to be able to talk to my mate. And if you talk to your mate, my brother and sister, you cannot go talk to your mate and put them under the defense. God have told you this, one of the most chilling phrases a woman could say to a man is this: we need to talk. When you tell a man, sister, that we need to talk, that's right, Sister Teresa, in Matthew 5, chapter 5, 23 through 24. Matthew 5, 23 through 24. Matthew 5, 23 through 24. When you all see that, read that Matthew 5, that's chapter 5, verse 23 through 24, and you'll see how you're supposed to reconcile with your brother or your sister. It means both. Thank you, Sister Teresa. But my brother and sister, what you have to do it God's way. But worldly people, they're going to go talk to their friends or family first before they talk to their mate. You got a problem with your mate. The Bible says go to that person first, and you don't even supposed to talk to no one else about what's going on. It's supposed to be between you and that person first. That's why a whole bunch of brothers and sisters you do wrong. That's why your relationship is almost over, because you're not doing it God's way. You're trying to do it your way. So those of you brothers and sisters, as far as like the sister, she asked me, does I do counseling? Yes, I do counseling. But before any man or woman come to me, see, can you talk to your mate first? If you can't talk to your mate first, then you come to me, because I just don't want to take your resources from you. I'm trying to save you some resources. Go talk to your mate first, and then you come to me for help. Okay? Then I can help you. But I can't help you if you ain't tried to resolve it with that mate first. And if you do come to me, my brother and sister, for counseling or consultation, I'm going to talk to you from the Bible. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to you from thus says the Lord. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to tell you this, my brother and sister, don't go to no worldly counselors. Those people that went to school for counseling, got the PhDs and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to help you on a spiritual level. They're going to teach you, and I don't have nothing against counselors when it comes to relationships and stuff. I don't have it. But they're not going to go to the scriptures most of the time and tell you from God's perspective. So I advise you, my brother and sister, if you're going to have counseling, you need to have someone that's going to come to you from God's point of view. Only God's point of view, not worldly point of view. You see, God's point of view is wisdom. Worldly point of view is from the PhDs and stuff. The PhDs don't have nothing to do with God's word. So you got to decide what type of counselor you want. Do you want someone they're going to tell you something from God's point of view, or you want somebody that's going to tell you something from the world point of view? They have you say stupid stuff like when you get angry, say pineapples and all that kind of crazy stuff, or sell color. That's childish. That's worldly. But let's get on with all the rest of this. Number 2, you're going to have communication problem, but you don't let the sun go down on your wrath, okay? And then this is another thing. This is a heavy thing, okay? Number 1, you thought the relationship was a fantasy. Now you find out that it's reality, which leads to communications. Communication stop. That's verbal. You don't want to talk to the person. You may not even want to touch them. You may not even want to be around them. And then it goes to sexual issues. Sexual issues. Okay. What do I mean by that? You're not talking. I mean, number one, you find out that you're in a real relationship. You find out that you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. You're in ours. Then your communication, verbal and non-verbal. You're not talking, you don't want to. Now, the sexual issues. You don't want to have sex with your mate. When everything was hunky-dory, you used to burn the sheets up. But now you don't want to do it. You don't want to do. If you do it, you start doing it from you need it. You don't care about your mate need, but before you got into the other stuff, you were thinking about pleasing your mate. You would think about what can I do to please my mate? It's more than me. The man be thinking more than me having an ejaculation, and the woman think more about me having a climax. But when they get to the other part and your relationship in trouble, and if you do decide to have physical relationship, the man probably gonna be thinking all about me, myself. I'm just gonna do what I have to do to let it go. And then the woman might say, I'm going to do what I have to do to let mine go. Or the woman might be saying, I'll be glad when he finished with this. Let me see what I can say to make him go ahead and do it. And then what a woman, I can tell you all some story. Then if the woman don't really want to do it, but she might think that, okay, this is my obligation. I'm still his wife, so I got to go ahead and have physical intimacy with him. So what I'm going to do, I know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to make him ejaculate real quick. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to manipulate my vagina walls, and I'm going to make them tight on him I'm going to just tie my walls up, because I know if I tie my walls up, he's going to release. So they will manipulate their vagina wall, or they may start telling the man stuff, and that's excite his mind, and then they clamp down on him with their vagina wall, and then it's over with. And she glad it's over with. She said, "Oh, I'm glad it's over with." And then the man, he's so pent up, and he might start thinking about somebody that he used to be with in the past, and he closed his eyes. He thinking about another woman that he used to be with. Or the woman might do the same thing. She thinking about a man that she used to be with just to do it. You all just don't know what I hear. And let me tell you, let me be clear, my brother and sister. Some people, when they start having sexual issues, they start thinking about people that they used to be with in the past. I know you all don't realize that, do you? But they do. They think about somebody else to get over the hump. Number 4. Bringing other people into the relationship. You could have messed up on the fantasy part. You'd have messed up on the communication. You start having sexual issues. Then you start bringing other people into it. What do I mean by other people? You start bringing people. You start talking to your family and friends. How you doing? Pray always. Welcome to the dental. You start talking to your family and friends, and it's a one-side thing. You most going to tell everything, and your mate is not going to be there to defend his or herself. So your family and friends, they and your coworkers and Facebook and all social media, they're gonna believe basically everything you say, but they don't believe, but they don't have the other person thing. So you're gonna put all that poison out there on your mate is nowhere around. But most people, when you start going telling your family members and friends and social media, you don't tell what you did and what you didn't do. So let's be fair. If you're gonna tell your family friend your business, go ahead and tell them what you did and what you didn't do, so they can have a balance of what happened. But most people will not say what he or she did, because most people gonna play like they're the victim. That's what most people will do. They are the victim. Speaking of victim, this just off the subject a little bit, but I'm going to come back to it. You all used to look at the Maury show. You remember when the Maury show used to come on? You remember that he'll have the ladies out there, right? It's a paternity show, right? So they'll have the lady out there, and she'll start talking about this man, and then they'll show a picture of the baby, and then the audience says, oh, oh, oh. And they just listen to the lady talk, right? And she talk about this man got her pregnant, that's his baby and stuff, right? So the audience, they automatically on the lady's side. And you all know I'm telling the truth, they automatically on the lady's side. So when Maury bring the man out, before the man could say anything, once the man come out, the audience start booing him. He ain't said nothing. They automatically start booing him, because these ladies that be on the Maury show, the people have empathy for him, and sympathy, empathy, whatever you want to call it, and they automatic on the lady's side. So the man come in and he probably say, well, that's not my baby. And then the lady said, it is your baby. So they going back and forth. That ain't my baby. It is my baby. That ain't my baby. All that kind of stuff. So then Maury get the little test out. And then Maury said, according to the test, baby A, he is, then they hold you in suspense. He is not the father, or is the father. Don't let him say not the father. Whenever he say not the father, what does the lady normally do? She jump up, run behind the stage crying. She knows she was lying all the time, because she knows she been doing that community work. Now, sometimes the woman be telling the truth, and it is the man. You all remember that phrase? Mama baby, but daddy maybe. You all remember that song that Ye had out some years ago? When I say Ye, I'm talking about Kanye West and Jamie Foxx. You all remember that song by She Ain't Nothing But a Gold Digger? You all remember that part in the song where this man took care of a child for 18 years and found out the child was not his? You all remember that part? A lot of that stuff go on, my brother and sister. So what the bottom part is, if you're gonna tell somebody the story, tell the whole thing. Don't just tell partial, tell the whole naked truth. Because most of the time when you tell your family, your friends, and social media co-workers, they probably had a good relationship with your mate. So like when you go around the family, your family may start looking left eye at the person, your co-worker may look that way, or social media, they may look at the person, you and your mate taking pictures, and you got on social media. So now social media, they saying y'all a beautiful couple. Then you start talking, throwing shades at him, and we all know who you're talking about, because you take picture with him or her. So we know you talk about your mate. You're gonna throw the shade. You're gonna talk in third person, but we know you talking about your life. We know you talking about your mate. We already know that. Then you'll say something like, I'm just asking for a friend. We know who the friend is. The friend is you. We know. So you start bringing other people into your relationship, and now you're moving towards more damage in your relationship. Fifth, then the couple you normally become roommates. How you doing, Sister Toomer? How you doing? Then you start work to the dinner table. Then you become what is called roommates. And you all know, some of you brothers and sisters that I'm talking to right now, you may be roommates. And I'm not talking about in college. I'm not talking about you and a person rent an apartment. No, I'm talking about a man and a woman. You in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship, but now you're roommates. Because this is what led you to being roommates. Number one, you thought that the wedding was a fantasy, and you thought your relationship was going to be a fantasy because you thought the person was perfect. But then you find out that the person is a real person. And then number two, you start communicating, verbal and non-verbal. You stop communicating. And then number three, sexual issue. You stop having sex with that person. And then number four, you bring other people into the relationship. And then number five, now you become roommates. You become roommate because one of you move out the bedroom. One of you move out the bedroom. And before I talk about this, let me tell you all something. Brother or sister, never let your mate kick you out the bedroom. Never do that. That's some TV stuff. Your mate can't tell you go sleep on the sofa or go in another room. Now, if they don't want you to sleep in the bed, let them get their butt out and go sleep on the sofa or in another room. Don't ever let nobody kick you out your bedroom. If you're serious, committed in a covenant relationship, that ain't God's way, because you supposed to have solved it before you go to bed. Remember, the Bible said, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. So you become roommates. So somebody move into another room. There's a lot of relationships like this, my brother and sister. They're staying in the same house, but it's not no home no more. And they talk only when necessary. That man got his life going, and that woman got her life going. And that's what it is. Your roommates. You start going on trips and stuff by yourself. You start doing it by yourself. You stop including your mate in everything. You even stop talking about your mate. How you doing, sister or Ashford? You stop talking about your mate. You don't do nothing no more. You start going on girl trip with your girl. You start going on guy trip with your boy. You ain't been doing that. You start staying out late at night. You start skipping home all for the weekend. You don't say nothing. Your mate call you, you don't answer the phone. Your mate text you, you don't respond, but you respond to everybody else. You just roommates. You just there for the bill. Oh no, you there because of the pandemic, right? That renting stuff is high. So what you do is say, okay, that renting stuff high. I might as well stay here with him or her. I don't like it, but I got my own bedroom. He or she got their own bedroom. It's a pandemic out there, and we'll just split the bills up, or we'll just do what we normally do, but we ain't got no relationship. He do his thing, I do my thing. Don't ask me what I'm doing. I won't ask you what you're doing. We're just doing our thing. And then number 6, going back to the sexual part. Now, remember on the third part, on when I say sexual issues, it normally affects this sexual issue, but you might go through the motion, but you're not there. It used to be we, us, and our when it comes to sexual issue, but you go ahead and do it, but you know it ain't like it used to be. Now, number 6, sex normally stop completely. It stopped completely. There's no action. You were in a fantasy land, then you find a person with perfect. Number 2, communication stop, verbal and non-verbal. Number 3, sexual issue. You may do it, but you ain't there. You're just going through the motion. Number 4, you're bringing other people into your relationship, and you get all their opinion. Most of the people that you talk to, they're not no counselor, and a lot of times they ain't even got no good relationship. So what advice they could give you? Number 5, you become roommate. Number 6, the sex stop. You don't have sex no more. I know some people, my brother and sister, they don't have sex no more, and they married, and nothing ain't wrong with the man, nothing ain't mad with the woman. I mean, nothing wrong with the woman, nothing wrong with the man, but they start having sex. They just stop. But they live together. And don't you know, and then they roommates, and then but when they roommate, they still might do, they may disguise some things. They may still front in front of other people. They're in front of other people like they got the good marriage and stuff, but they're not. There's a lot of married people that you look at, my brother and sister, it's not real. It's not real. You think it's real because they're projecting. But when they get home, he go to his room, she go to her room, no sex. Now, this is the dangerous part, which we move to number 7. Then, with all this other stuff going on, my brother and sister, with all the other stuff going on, there is an increased chance of adultery. One or both parties start getting it in with somebody else on the outside. I see it all the time. So a man and a woman, they may stay in the same house, and they got a girlfriend or a boyfriend on the side, or they call them lovers, or they got a boyfriend or girlfriend, but they got some outside action going on. They got a whole complete life going on with somebody else. And a lot of you brothers and sisters know what I'm talking about. I hope I'm not talking about you, but some of you all have probably done it, or some of you probably know someone that's doing exactly what I say. They're supposed to be in a relationship. They're supposed to be serious, committed, in a covenant relationship, but they really just there for show. But they got another boyfriend or girlfriend on the side. And guess what? Some relationship, they down for that. They may tell their mate that they got a girlfriend or boyfriend, or they may move to another house or apartment, or even out of town, and they still married, but they got girlfriend and boyfriend. They done got a whole nother life and children with somebody else, but they still married. And I know a lot of you know some of these people. They still married, but they done bought a house with somebody else and got a house full of children with somebody else, and then the mate know about it, and they cool with it until one of them die. And then when one of them die, that's when they want to come and claim everything that was in their mate name. I see that all the time, my brothers and sisters. But the thing about it is, like what's on the menu, 7 signs that your relationship is almost over. It's almost over, but everything that I just told you, my brother and sister, guess what? There is hope. There is hope. The only hope is Jesus Christ. He's the only one that could save your relationship and start it back over. Jesus is the only one that could raise the dead. He's the only one that could raise the dead. If your relationship is dying or dead, Jesus can resurrect that thing. The only way Jesus could resurrect that, my brother and sister, you got to acknowledge that you failed in the relationship. But you're not a failure. You're not a failure. You got to admit that you failed. You, brother, and you, sister, if you decide that you want to be in a sensible relationship, both the man and the woman got to take it to God. Because, see, God is not going to force no man and woman to stay together. He's not going to do that. Because God does not make a man and woman be a robot. God is not going to override a man's thing towards you, sister. And brother, the same thing. He's not going to override a woman's will for you. Both the man and both the woman have to be willing to allow the Lord to bring that spark back into the relationship. You got to understand that only Jesus raised the dead. I can't raise the dead, but I could tell you how the Lord can raise the dead in your relationship, because your relationship dead. Most couple, the relationship is on the respirator. You just a heartbeat away before it's over. But there is hope. Jesus is hope. Speaking of hope, when it comes to a relationship, my brother and sister, the relationship that you got to make sure that is on point is your relationship with Jesus. That's the relationship, brother and sister, that you got to make sure everything is together. You see, brother and sister, when Jesus look at you like he looked at me, he know that we have messed up. The Bible clearly say that we have all sinned and come short of the glory of God. When you're in a relationship with the Lord, my brother and sister, he's not going to force you to have a relationship with him. He's willing to have a relationship with you, but you got to be willing to have a relationship with him. That's how it goes. And if you're willing to have a relationship with the Lord Jesus, Jesus will restore the relationship. You're going to be a better man or a better woman once you have your relationship with the Lord first. Once you have your relationship with the Lord first, then when it comes to relationship with a man or a woman, he's going to show you, guide you into how to have a relationship with your mate. But once you get your relationship together with the Lord, he can help you in everything, including your relationship. Now, I have just presented to you, my brother and sister, 7 signs that your relationship is almost over. But what I did not tell you in the title or what's on the menu, I did not tell you that it could be resurrected. It can be resurrected. I'm telling you. So if a man or woman just say, our relationship is over, it's over unless it's over if you decide that it's over. But if you want it to, but if you desire for it to go on, it just take the man and woman to be willing. Like Sister Teresa, she found it in Romans chapter 3:23. Romans 3 chapter 23. Romans 3:23. We have all sinned. So my brother and sister, you got to understand this. Your mate got a pass. Your mate got a pass, sister. Brother, your mate got a pass. Your mate got a present and your mate got a future. If you get with a man or a woman, brother, sister, your mate is going to fall. You got to understand that he or she is going to fall. My brother and sister, you are going to fall. But if you have Jesus as the rock in your relationship, that's how you build your house, on the rock. You do not build your rock on the sand, how the world say do it. You build your relationship on the rock. Jesus the rock. You need to pray to the Lord. You need to spend time with the Lord, and you need to read God's word so it could change how you think. You cannot have a relationship with the Lord without reading his word. You got to read his word so his word can get in you, and his word will change you. You cannot be, yes, Jesus' spirit is in you, but if Jesus' spirit in you, Jesus' spirit wants you to read God's word. You can't be lazy when it comes to the Lord, my brother and sister. You got to put in the work. Just like this, brother and sister, when you get married to a man or woman, you got to put in the work. Don't expect for the man and woman to do everything. Don't expect for that man and woman to give 100%. You got to give 100%, but you got to give 100% to Jesus first. Then you give one. Then you give the other part to your mate, and then your family, your friends, and your enemies. That's how it goes. I hope you, brother and sister, got something out of it. There is hope. Sister Teresa and Matthew said, well, wise men build on the rock. That's right. Wise men build on the rock. My brother and sister, I hope that you got something out of this. And I hope that you share some of this dinner with some of your other family members and friends, because they need to know about this, okay? They need to know. If you're on the book, just continue to make your comments and like. If you're on the tube, subscribe to this. If you are not a subscriber, subscribe and hit that notification button, okay? And make your comments. Brother and sister, I enjoyed this meal time with you as I always do. I love you, brothers. I love you, sister. I hope that you all have a good evening, Lord willing. Hope to see you tomorrow, okay? You all have a good night. Peace out.